I'm back to the 1 million people project. And I just wanted to guys know this for a fact that you're not starting over, you're just starting wiser. Very simple. You say, it's been a minute, it really has been. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you probably remember something I used to call and talk about all the time. It's called the 1 million people project. And this project is designed exclusively, my message to the world for something we call financial literacy. That's really the project. By the way, I want you to, like tag everybody to be part of this call, especially anyone that you care for, that you love. I want you to tag them, with at their handle so that they can become part, of this. Feel free to be very, very, very generous in sharing the message with everybody because I want people and the rest of the world to know, that we can elevate one another, especially financially. That's my contribution to the world. So having said that, okay, you see, for those of you who have been following me for a while, you already know the 1 million people project is a very big deal for me. Like I desire to impact 1 million people, on financial literacy because I wasn't born rich. I was born actually poor. 3 meals a day was a struggle. Holding my shoes as a kid, I remember like yesterday. So for me, I know that financial literacy it's a very, very big deal. If you understand what I mean, Dave. Okay, Madonna, it's a very, very big deal for me, financial literacy. So I want you to be thinking about how, that you could put yourself in a position to become financially free, because income is one thing, freedom is another. Income simply shows you know how to make money. Freedom means you know how to what manage money. So by the way, thanks for the love, thanks for the share. I appreciate you guys, the likes, I really do. Let's drive this up. Let's drive up the algorithm so we can get as many people here as possible so we can learn together this afternoon. So now, as you guys say, somewhere along the journey, of really financial literacy, I stopped, because life got busy, business got very busy, different opportunities came from every angle, different responsibilities came, along, again, and guess what happened? And Tom kind of went quiet a little bit, but I've already accumulated over 21,000 people that already say, yes, let's go all crazy. It's a financial, okay, this, the 1 million people project on financial literacy. So a lot of people are genuinely interested in it. But today I want to let you know I'm bringing it back. Maybe the fact that I stopped is exactly what I needed to talk about today so that you can understand because somebody watching me right now stopped something too, whatever that is for you, but you did stop. Some people, maybe you start working on the business, the dreams that you have, you're going to do this, but you haven't done that. For some, you stop investing. For some people, you stop going to the gym. For some, you actually stop creating, but you're a creator. For some, you stop writing books. For others, you just stop making phone calls. For some, you stop talking about your dream. You see, listen very carefully to me. Because you stopped, you've convinced yourself that you failed. That's not true. That's a falsity. You didn't fail. Just simply because you stopped. In fact, what I want to do is this, okay? You're not even starting all over. You're starting a little smarter. You're starting a little wiser. Here's the difference. And this is today's 1 million people project. The lie that we tell ourselves. I want to talk about that. Okay? My number one key principle point to share with you. This is a lie we tell ourselves constantly. It's a lie. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is this. I should be further along the way than I am right now. But you don't understand, I'm 30 something years old, I should be further ahead. But I'm 40 something years old, I should be further ahead. But I am 50 years old, my God, retirement, I should be further ahead. But I'm this. We tell ourselves this constantly. We should be further along to whom though? Whose clock are you using? Like, who are you comparing yourself to? Whose timeline are you following? What is the established timeline? Like social media has created an interesting problem, a real interesting one. You see, you realize one thing, okay? And you realize that a lot of the time, by the way, the difference, so you just posted a question right there, you know, you realize that social media play a very, very major role in how people process a lot of their issues. A lot of the time, they're processing from one angle. Let me say this to you. Please hear me out. And maybe I should even address your question from the difference, number seven. From 100,000 to 250,000. Let me say this. In 19, let me say, was it 19? Yeah. No, I'm sorry, 2003. 2003. A guy by the name AJ helped me crack my first $1 million. Okay. And I want to think about it this way. There is a difference between, what we call being a millionaire and being what we call a cash flow millionaire. Let me explain what I mean by that. A cash flow millionaire simply means that you could spend all of your money now. Come January 1st, you will cash flow $1 million again. That's called a cash flow millionaire. Okay. You could be a millionaire simply by net worth. You have assets, you have all kind of stuff like like I accumulated millions of dollars, so on and so forth. You could have that, but you can't really spend wealth because wealth still have to be converted to cash. So the difference in being a cash flow millionaire is so significant. But why am I talking about that? Because the difference just asked, between 100 and 250, $100,000 is the hardest to ever make. So hard to make $100,000. It's so hard to make 100,000. Once you crack the code for 100,000, then you start making a run for 250. But you realize that the amount of craziness and work you have to do to go from 0 to 100 is truncated by the time you go to 250. It's less. That's the reason why when you make 1 million, it is the hardest thing to do. But once you crack 1 million, you can compound 1 million literally to 3 million to 10 million, just like that. Because what happens is once you lift off the ground, the volume compounds, like any compound. If you have a system and a structure. So to your question, it will be you need a supportive system in place. Because if you don't have a system in place, you can make the money, you will lose the money eventually. But if you have a system in place, you can make the money, then you can compound the money. So you go back and say, okay, what allowed me to make this kind of money I just made? Then you actually write it down. You do a personal self identity audit where you analyze yourself, you analyze your business, what caused me to crack the code, what did I do right, what did I do wrong, and then you take the things that you did right, then you apply the law of multiplication to them. The things that you did wrong, you minimize that. Guys, this is actually not hard. It's really simple. This is how you compound and you grow your wealth significantly. Okay? Now, man, you guys are asking me a question. Let me just go ahead and feed your questions there because I have whole thing to share with you guys. What advice do you have for a young person in Ghana planning to go into business? How do I start? Couple of things, okay? Regardless where you are in the world. The first thing you have to do is called market feasibility, meaning this. The person, say for example, you're solving, because an entrepreneur means you're solving a problem, okay? By the way, thank you guys for all of you guys liking this and everything. I can see the algorithm. I appreciate that. So I want you to think about this for a second. An entrepreneur means you're solving a problem. That's entrepreneur. So you're solving a problem. What problem are you solving? So stay with me so this can really understand. I think the name is Tuba, if I'm saying it right. Tuba, what is it? Tuba, something like that. Okay, let's just say Tuba. All right. So imagine you got to see, first of all, what problem am I solving? That's number one. Number one, what value am I bringing? Number two is how many people am I solving the problem for? Let me say that again. Number two, how many people am I solving the problem for? Here's the reason why. Say, for example, somebody's got a massive problems and my God, so you crack that problem, but the only person that needed to fix that problem is one person. So when you fix that problem for that one person, then your business is dead because nobody else needs that service anymore. So it's not enough to solve a problem, but how many people have that problems to be solved? Because that's going to give you your market segment. The third part, for you is, so number one is to find a problem to solve. Number two is to find how many people need that problem solved. Then number three, and this is where you come in even more so, is you. So is this a problem that you yourself have actually experienced, that you have a passion about it, that you feel like you need to solve it? So that when you solve it for you, then it was easy to bless everybody else. So let me explain what I mean by that, okay? If you realize that if you ever went through a problem yourself and you solve that problem, nobody have to convince. You don't have to convince anybody. When you speak, it radiates through your energy. Like it just makes sense. Like you really want to make sure that you come through because you lived that experience. You were that experience. You came through that experience. There is no games. There is no gimmicks. There is no pretense. That's you. This is the reason why when you get into a business, you should get into a business that actually makes sense to you, not because somebody say you need to get into it. And that's why people get into a business sometimes just to make money. They have no passion because you are just serving for money. But when you really go to start a business that is passionate, that it's a solution to your own individual problem, it's very easy, to multiply that business. So by the way, Batu, I hope that's very helpful to you. But I want to make sure I answer that question for you for sure. Okay. Now, now you need a timeline. So you start a business. What timeline do you have? You need a timeline. Let me say this to you, okay? When you become a business owner, something have to suffer because you have time. Let me say that again. Time, commitment, money, commitment. Let me say that again. Time, commitment, money, commitment, efforts, commitment. All three of them. When you start a business, you need all three. There's no way in the world you're going to increase this three without something else suffering. It's impossible. So what's the issue then? A lot of people say, I want to be, I want to be a business person, but they're not willing to make the sacrifice that it takes for them to actually win. And they say, oh, by the way, I don't know how to balance my life. There's nothing called balancing. When you start a business, there's nothing called balancing at all. You are all locked in. If you're not ready, then don't start. Because you're going to have to be all locked in. It's not, you can negotiate it. It's not negotiable. You have to be all locked in. That is why it's like a season. So when you start, it has an end date. Like you give yourself, I'm going to do X, Y, S, Z between this number of years. So I'm going to run for a full year. I'm going to run for 3 years. But you give yourself timeline. By the end of 3 years, I'm going to be a multimillionaire if I follow this system. Therefore, 3 years straight, you're locked in, like your life depends on it. It's an obsession. So because it's an obsession, there's nothing called, oh, by the way, balance. Balance, there is no balancing. So if you're listening to me, understand this. Don't say I'm going to go start a business. I want to bust it wide open, but you're not willing to pay the price and the cost of your winning. You'll just be wasting your time. So having said that, okay, now, the interesting problem that social media created, is we wake up and immediately you see everybody highlight reels. You see their highlight reels. Oh my God, this person is on a trip. This person is in Dubai. It's in this. It's in London. It's it's in New York. It's whatever. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm so behind. BS. No, because you're looking at people's selected highlight reels. You don't know their life. You don't follow them. You don't know what they go through, in their homes. You don't know what they have in their closet. You don't know how many sleepless nights that they have. So don't let people highlight reels mess you up. If you do, then you're not really organically understanding what it takes to really do life. Don't. Be careful. Don't let people's highlight reels misconstrue your vision of your life and where you're going or you think you're behind. Okay? Somebody bought a house. Okay? Somebody bought a car. Okay, somebody somebody made $1 million. Oh my God. Somebody's business exploded. You're shocked. Somebody lost 50 pounds. Why not me? Somebody has 1 million followers. What am I doing? Why not me? And suddenly you look at your own life, you think, what am I doing wrong? Maybe you're doing nothing wrong, actually. Maybe you are just looking at somebody else's chapter 20 while you're still in your own chapter 7. Maybe that's what's going on. And you need to understand that because you can't compare your own chapter to somebody else's chapter. You'll be delusional. And Bottom line, you'll be depressed. You can't do that. So you say, you got to finish your own book. You got to write your own chapters. That's the first lesson I want everybody to understand clearly. Like from all of this, comparison will make you abandon a life that's actually working for you. That's what comparison will do. You guys follow me so far on this? So, by the way, keep sharing this. Let's drive this up. I haven't done live for a minute, but you're going to see me doing more and more of this. Sometimes you got to understand, that your pause should be part of the process sometimes. Because think about this. I stopped the 1 million people, project. Does that mean everything I said before disappeared? No. Does it mean everything I learned disappeared? No. Does it even mean that the people I impacted disappeared? No. Does it mean I can't begin again? Absolutely not. In fact, I'm coming back with something I didn't even have before. It's called experience. You see, this is how I want you to look at your life. Because I'm coming back with perspective, with a golden scars, wounded but back strong to share the lessons, the wins, the losses, more understanding of people. You see, sometimes when you pause, you have more understanding of business, more understanding of yourself. So I'm not coming back carrying everything the journey taught me. And somebody needs to hear that about your own life. So when you take a pause and you come back in your own life, stop judging yourself. You're not starting your business from zero. No, you're not. You're starting with what we call experience. You are not rebuilding your finances from a zero. You are rebuilding with what we call knowledge. You are not returning to the gym from a zero. You are rebuilding with relationships, okay? Mistakes, lessons, wisdoms. You see, starting again is not the same thing as starting all over. It's not the same thing at all. This is the reason why I really would like, for you to sit down, write things down, be very clear. Just write things down. Just get a pen and paper, write things down. And when you write things down, it's able to jog your memory and bring things into perspective for you. Now, let's talk about money because I want to connect this to financial literacy. You see, most people think financial literacy means knowing stocks, bonds, mutual funds, knowing real estates, knowing insurances, taxes, knowing interest rates, and those kind of things. They matter, don't get me wrong. Should you know them? That's a big plus. But financial literacy begins even earlier than that, though. Way earlier than that. Financial literacy begins with your behavior. That's where everything starts. Because you can't know everything about money and still make terrible financial decisions. So it's not just about the knowledge. Knowledge without discipline doesn't create wealth at all. You can understand compound interest, but yet you never invested. People do that all the time. You can understand budgeting, but yet you're still spending over your budget. You can understand debt, and guess what? You continue to accumulate debt. You can understand investing and panic every time the market becomes uncomfortable. So, wealth isn't only about what you know, it's about what you repeatedly do. That's where consistency enters this conversation. So you have a better understanding. You see, consistency compounds. That's what it does. Over a period of time, you actually compound. By the way, let me welcome every one of you guys joining me late. Royal Coco, nice to see you here. I remember your name. Quite a number of you guys here. So let me welcome you guys. Consistency compounds. And here's what I want you to remember. You see, consistency is probably one of the biggest secrets that most people don't understand. That it will take you to $1 million status. It's the boring things that you don't want to learn. The things that annoys you, that you don't feel like learning at all, they are so boring to you. Those are the things that actually make you the most money. Because that consistency brings a lot of money to you. Watch this. Consistency compounds. Money compounds. Knowledge compounds. Skills compound. Relationships compound. Reputation compounds. Your health compounds. Confidence compounds. Your audience compounds. Your decisions over a period of time compounds. Your habits compound. And unfortunately, ready? Your bad decisions also compound too. That's why Your future is not usually determined by one giant decision. I just woke up. No, no, that's not how your decision is. That's not how your life is determined. Your life is determined by hundreds of thousands of similarly insignificant decisions that you made along the line. That's how your life is determined. This is financial literacy, guys. So the question is, what did you do today, for example? What did you do today? What are you going to do tomorrow? Or you're going to do the day after? Because eventually those days becomes weeks, those weeks becomes months, those months becomes years, and then it compounds. This is the consistency. This is a lot of the things that most people in life will ignore. They don't pay attention to that because for them it's so infinitesimal. It means almost nothing. It's like, let me just dismiss this, but you can't, because those things are what are going to elevate you to go to the next level. So therefore, let me give you the $10 lesson. $10 lesson. I want to make financial literacy extremely simple. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. You say, suppose somebody says, Dr. T, I don't have enough money to start investing. I'm sorry, I just don't have enough money to start investing. My first question would be, what does enough mean to you? That's my first question. Because sometimes the first victory isn't the amount. The first victory is actually creating a habit. Because it's the behavior first before the results. The idea is to create the behavior first before the results follow. You see, imagine that instead of saying, I will start when I make money or when I make more money, you decide, I'm becoming somebody who consistently puts money towards my future. And so therefore, boom, let's go. You know what? That's called an identity shift. Most people don't have the identity shift. Most people are locked in. When I do this, then I will do that. The biggest mistake. Is the opportunity first and resources second? Or is the resources first and opportunity, ready? Always, almost all the time, is opportunity first, resources second. That's how it goes, okay? Make no mistake about that. Hey, babe, I'm on my live. Real quickly, TikTok. I'll call you right back, okay? So, as you guys are seeing this, I want you guys to hear me out very, very, very quickly. That I need to start thinking very quickly about how to truly understand your role when it comes to creating the life that you want by the kind of money that you deserve to be making. If you're not making that money right now, just understand this. It's truly and indeed, I don't know how to put this. It's your fault. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find a diplomatic way to put it. But I said it. It's your fault. Because you're supposed to know all of those things. And you're supposed to practice exactly how to be able to move through this whole craziness, literally called life, and so on and so forth. And you're supposed to be able to put yourself in ground zero to take yourself to the next level to go win. We're supposed to do all of those things. So when I talk about money to you guys today, it's a series of decisions that's going to take you to your wealth. That's why your consistency is the key to everything. Your consistency compounds everything. So the lesson of the $10 is very simple. Most people wait. When I make money, then I will do X, Y, Z. It's a mistake. It's who you're becoming, who consistently puts money away. That's exactly when your identity shift. Even when you don't have the money. Even if it's, I don't care what it is, just a little bit. But you're shifting identity. Now, the amount's going to grow over a period of time that you're putting away, because as your income grows, then you do more, but the habit is there. The person who develops the habit first has an enormous advantage over anybody else. Why? Because it's the habits first, the behavior before your wealth. Because perfect circumstances rarely arrive. Because life is always going to be lifing. Something is going on. There's nothing called a perfect situation. So most people are waiting for a perfect situation, but it ain't going to happen because it's just not there. There will always be another bill to pay. There will always be another expense, another emergency, another reason to wait. So eventually, you're going to have to decide, because there's always a reason why you couldn't do something. There's always a reason why you have to wait. So the most smart people and very rich people understand I have to accelerate. Regardless of what's going on around me, I got to keep moving because your future deserves to become, this is profound, your future deserves to become one of your current expenses. That's how you're supposed to look at your future. Let me say that one more time. Your future needs to become one of your current expenses. So, in other words, you're funding your future today, it should be part of your budget. Think about that twice. You pay everybody, you pay your mortgage company, your car company, your phone company, even the streaming companies you use, your restaurants, your Amazon, everybody gets paid. And then sometimes we look at ourselves at the end of the month and we say, Lord have mercy, there's nothing left. What if you became one of the people who gets paid first? Why not? By the way, that's called financial literacy. When you begin to understand that I need to pay myself first, your brain is now shifting. Now you're going into the money zone because money is a seed. Either you know it or not. Money is interesting because every dollar can become one or two things. A dollar can become a servant to your present or a worker for your future. This, as some of I'm going to do a reel on this one today because it's very important to understand that your dollar is going to have to be working with one another. So money needs to serve the present because you still have to live and pay your bills and do your stuff. You have responsibilities. But if every dollar serves today, then who is working for tomorrow? Person, think about that. That's where investing enters the picture. That's why you have to learn how to invest very, very aggressively because your money can continue to work for you even when you're not able to work for yourself. And then those dollars potentially produce more dollars for you. And those dollars potentially produce even more dollars for you. And then before you know it, guess what happened? Now it's compounding, you can become free. You say, here's the bamboo lesson. That's a concept I love to talk about all the time. You plant something, you water it, you care for it. For a period of time, you don't see much happening above the ground. Nothing. But underneath the surface, the roots are developing. And they're developing like really fast. You're making calls, nobody's answering. You're pitching your product, nobody's listening. You're posting videos and you barely get any views at all. Maybe 10 views, 15 views. You're quietly discouraged. You're putting away money and the account still look very small, like nothing is taking place, okay? You're studying while everybody else is partying. That's called the roots, by the way. And you are exercising and the mirror hasn't changed anything yet. You still look the same. Your body is not changing. You're still building the road. You're building the business. Nobody's even know your name yet. Like, nobody knows your name. Nobody seems to care. Okay. You see, do not confuse invisible progress with no progress. Let me say that one more time. Do not confuse invisible progress with no progress because eventually roots support something the world can see. This is why most people quit in the invisible season because they can't see it. They can't. The eye of the soul sees it, but the physical eyes doesn't see it. This is where into this message gets serious because most people don't quit because the dream is impossible. They quit because the evidence hasn't arrived. So they give up on their dreams. I want to hear me again. Most people don't quit because the dream is impossible. People quit because the evidence hasn't arrived yet. So they quit very quickly. They quit because in their mind, they're looking for the applause. They need money. They need followers. They need recognition. They need somebody to validate what they're doing. But champions develop the ability to work without applause. Champions know I got to stay locked in, because nobody's clapping for me when I'm building something, but people will cheer me on, when I win. So they understand this concept. They work in the dark. They continue moving forward. Champions develop the ability to work without applause. Entrepreneurs develop the ability to build before the revenue arrives. Investors develop the ability to think in years ahead of what? Of the days. Leaders develop the ability to continue when nobody understands the vision. That invisible season is where you become the person capable of handling the visible season. This is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're looking to create something big for yourself, you got to understand that you have to lock in, and you have to understand you're on your own, and don't be looking for applause anywhere, because what happens is you can dig up the seed. Imagine planting the seed today. Tomorrow morning you walk outside, nothing. Then you dig it up to look at it. Okay, then it's not working. Then guess what you did? You plant another seed. 3 days later, you go, you dig it up to look at it. Okay, yet nothing is working. Then another, another. 10 years later, what happened? The seeds that you've planted, nothing. There's no trees. Not because the seed didn't work, because you never left them in the ground long enough to actually grow. This is exactly how some people live their lives. They just never ever patient enough to actually see their projects come through. They fight everything. They go against everything. They don't have the patience for anything. You start a business you want to win, like right now. It's, guys, be careful. Be very, very careful. Be careful. Because you are meant to win and win. Incredible if you understand the methodology of how our world is really structured. You see people start new business every 6 months. No strategy every month. No investments philosophy from time the market kind of moves. You see people like new diet every Monday, new dream every January, okay? They're constantly planting, constantly digging, constantly restarting again, because guess what? They just don't have the vision that they got to plant, they got to water the plant, they got to let it grow and actually visibly get to see it. They constantly keep uprooting the roots. This is what people do all the time. This is what wealthy people look so different from everybody else. Because you see, wealthy people think very differently. They think long term. Wealthy people say, how can I get rich a decade from now? They don't say, how do I become a millionaire next month? No. They don't. They don't. That's why a better question, what decisions can I make today that my future self will thank me for 10 years from now? What are those decisions? And you need to start making them. That's a very different approach to life, to money, and everything. Now you start thinking about ownership. How do I own assets? How do I improve my skills? Education, investing, protection, tax planning. Like, you need to start thinking and introducing this concept. Businesses, relationships, health, legacy. Like, now that you're playing a longer game, that you need to start putting yourself in a position where you are no longer just playing small anymore. Now you're looking at a more powerful, a long-term vision for yourself. You see, you stop panicking over short-term noise, because when you're locked in, it doesn't matter. By the way, guys, keep sharing this. I'm getting ready to wrap up, but it's a whole lot I'm covering with you guys today. That you don't think short term anymore. You start thinking long term, long term, long term, long term on everything. You say your income is not your wealth. Let me say that one more time. Your income is not. But this person made this amount of money. They make $500,000. That's not your wealth. That's another financial literacy I want you guys to understand. A lot of people confuse income and wealth as one and the same thing. They're not. Income is what comes in. Wealth is what you build, own, preserve, and can eventually transfer. They are two very, very separate things. You see, you can have a large income and very little wealth. You can have very little income and very large wealth, guys. So stop asking only, how much money do I make? Stop that question. That's poor people's question. Start asking, how much of what I make am I able to keep? Now you're moving into a different stratosphere when it comes to wealth. How much am I investing? These are the kind of questions you should be asking yourself. What liabilities am I carrying, that's going to impact my wealth? Like, what is my money doing when I'm sleeping at night? Those are the kind of questions you'll be asking yourself, so you know where your money should be invested. Like, literally, what am I building that can actually outlive my labor, that I don't have to show up every day to kill myself to get paid? You see, The most expensive word out of your mouth is called later. Let me say that again. The most expensive word coming out of your mouth is called later. That's the most expensive word coming out of your mouth. I'm going to cover that. Then I'm going to bring this to a break. Tomorrow we're going to continue. But, the word later, I know, please hear me out, is the most expensive word. I tell people all the time, make decision already. Just make decision already. It's better for you to make a decision and fail and be wrong than you not making a decision. Because the speed of correction, the speed of knowing where you're going is more important, than you procrastinating. So I tell people, whatever you're doing, hurry up, make that mistake already. Make it already. Because when you make the mistake, you can go fix it. But if you sit on the fence, you're not moving anywhere. So you're just dead to it. You're not moving. So the word later is the most expensive words that could come out of your mouth. Later, Lord have mercy, good Lord. It is the most dangerous words, coming out of your mouth. I will invest later. I will start the business later. I will learn about money later. I will fix my credit later. I will write the book later. I will make the call later. I will start exercising later. I will spend time with my children later. I will tell that person I love them later, 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 later. Guys, you understand? Ladies and gentlemen, later has stolen more dreams than failure could account for. Later gives you nothing failure can teach you. Later is a very expensive word. Later keeps you standing still. It steals your wealth. It paralyzes you. The word later literally means it stands still for you. It means you never even get to enter the arena. So stop being afraid of starting imperfectly. No, stop it. It's better for you to start, fail, and get yourself up and running. Anyway, for the interest of time today, I'll bring this to a close. I'm back tomorrow to continue this with you guys, in a very productive way. But as I wrap this up, I just want to say this to you, okay? I don't want you to be in that mind frame because this is my message to the world. If you remember nothing else today, while I continue this tomorrow, if you remember nothing else, remember the 1 million people project. And I want you to remember these words: consistency compounds. Because most people quit, okay, before momentum shows up. They stop posting before the audience can find them. Guys, literally, Instagram shut down my account for a reason I don't even know. All I talk about is financial literacy, bettering the world, making the world a better place. But instead of me walking and whining and crying about Instagram until they bring it back, I'm here with you on TikTok. I can't talk about later. No. Later will steal every success from you. You have to pivot. You have to move. You have to keep going. And I have a large following there, 200 something thousand, built over 14 years. TikTok is little for me, 20 something thousand, on TikTok. So it's little for me. But guess what though? I cannot say I will come back later. I have to what? Keep moving. Most people, they stop posting before the audience can find them. They stop prospecting before the business grows. They stop learning before the skills actually become valuable. They stop believing before the evidence appears. They give up so quickly. You see, don't be most people. Stay, learn, adjust, improve, get better. That's my message from me to you today. If you like this content and you're not following me, just follow me. This is Dr. Kehinde Thomas. Like I always say, work like it's up to you. Pray like it's up to God. We're going to make this world a better place through financial literacy. I promise you. I promise you. We're going to make this, world a better place for anyone willing to learn. And if you adapt my teaching, you will be a millionaire even without a doubt, because a lot of people have done it. I know, and I know you can too. So that's like one of the ladies said in the debate, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. So you have to execute and truly go to work with this and come back and thank me months and years from now, because I know it works. I'm a living testimony of it. So with that said, thank you for joining my life today. I cannot wait to see you guys, tomorrow. Walk like it's up to you and pray like it's up to God. Thank you, everybody. Have a great one, okay? Bye, everyone. Bye now. By the way, if you're with me, welcome to TikTok. I'm trying to end this. That just tells you, how much I know about TikTok, right? Let's see.